Hey guys, welcome to the Dadadvice channel. If this is your first time, we're a community created to learn and grow together and to teach our children through our experience. Wanted to chat about sleep today, something that we forget as definitely Americans, if you're American, because we focus so much on efficiency and working hard and getting things done. And sometimes we need to slow down to go faster or to do more. We need to do less to do more, which is super counterintuitive. And I've just been reading a bunch of things recently about sleep, and I don't hear them enough. And it's been reiterating how important sleep is to all aspects of your life and all modules, whether it's health, whether it's marriage, whether it's parenting. Technically, I might put this in all modules, even though it's going to be in the health module. But we'll go straight. I started off with a visualization here where we have the pyramid almost of life, and sleep is at the base. We're spending somewhere between 30 to 45% of our daily lives, or we should be sleeping to rest and reheal. In this, I'm going to break it down and I'll have so you can skip ahead if you need to, but we're going to talk about how and what sleep affects, how it can affect us physically. We're going to talk about some science research, mostly from the book Self-Driven Child, because it's an awesome one. If you're a parent, definitely read it. Lastly, we're going to chat about how we can tell if we're getting enough sleep and how much sleep we actually should be getting. So how and why is it important? Have you ever stayed up super late at night and you end up going to the freezer and you eat a whole carton or half a carton of ice cream or something similar, a tray of brownies? This is just one of the reasons or one of the ways that sleep affects us. This could be caused because you just need more sleep. As when we're sleep deprived, it affects appetite, it affects depression, it affects mood control, learning, retention of knowledge, resiliency, obesity, your immune system, it impairs blood sugar, and you're more likely to use alcohol, drugs, caffeine, and nicotine. So if we think about this as a parent, if we think about this as ourselves, we definitely don't want our kids to be sleep deprived, especially if somebody else is having drugs and it brings their inhibitions down and they're more likely to make poor choices due to lack of control. So these are a bunch of the reasons how and why it affects us. We're going to go into some science studies, and a lot of these, again, were from the book, and I want to plagiarize from the book Self-Driven Child. One of the first ones was interesting, and it was about lab rats. And they talked about how lab rats die as quickly if you don't feed them as if they don't sleep. Basically saying, hey, sleeping is as if not more important than eating. And it's super easy to do. Just sleep a little bit more. There was another study by Bruce McEwen, and I'll try to note all the studies in the description down below. But it went over that sleep deprivation does similar to our bodies as chronic stress. And the levels, people had higher cortisol levels, higher blood pressure, higher reactivity to stress. It increased inflammation levels. People were much more depressed, and it impacted insulin production. So it can cause diabetes. Next study showed a weakened connection between the prefrontal cortex and your amygdala when you're sleep deprived. And the weakened connection is also seen in people that are bipolar, people with PTSD, people with mass depression, and other psychiatric disorders. So those are not any things that I want or wish on anyone. So super important. The next study was done by a researcher named Robert Stickgold. He did a study, a 36-hour sleep study, and he had two halves of groups. One group that received 36 hours of not sleeping at all and then 2 days of recovery sleep, and the other half of the group slept their normal full 8 hours the entire period of the study. What ended up happening is after the 36-hour group that had 2 days of recovery sleep, he would give both groups 3 different classification of words: positive, negative, and neutral. And what he found was that with the group that did not get as much, didn't rest for 36 hours, or was up for 36 hours for the 2 days of recovery sleep, they remembered 40% less of the positive words and 20% less of the negative words. So they remembered way less than the positive group, but they remembered way more of the negative words than of the neutral or the positive words. So he described getting no sleep as a negativity bomb, because your life just picks up everything that's negative with memory. And overall, the sleep deprived group recalled twice as many negative things as they did as positive things, where the group that had good sleep the entire study remembered half and half. There was another sleep study that showed that kids that slept less than 8, I don't have an age, but kids that slept less than 8 hours a day had a 300% chance higher rate of obesity, which is crazy, than those. And it was the 300% rate higher chance of obesity than those of kids that slept 10 hours or more. Next study by American Cancer Society actually showed that sleep loss contributed to a loss of cancer-killing cells, enough to consider it sleep deprivation to be considered a carcinogen. The next study after that was done of 6th graders, and they broke the group into 2. Half the group was asked to get 1 more hour of sleep, and half the group was asked to get 1 hour less of sleep. And with the 6th graders, the ones that got 1 hour less of sleep functioned on cognitive tests, functioned at a 4th grade level. So they literally went backwards, just getting 1 hour less of sleep. Another study by Robert Stickgold, he did a 3-day study where people played 7 hours of Tetris over those 3 days, and he would wake them up right as they'd fall into sleep. And 75% of them said that they actually visually in their brain, as they're falling asleep, were seeing patterns solved with shapes and colors of the Tetris blocks. And it was basically concluded that your brain masters problems and solutions that we have in life. I mean, it's super important as we're talking about. The last study was of 9,000 high school students, and it was by Kylo Wallstrom. And they pushed a high school start time back to 8:35 a.m. And for the students that start time was pushed back to 8:35 a.m., their grades went up a quarter of a step, showing how important it is with learning retention and just overall knowledge. All right, so the last phase. So how can we tell if we're not getting enough sleep? Most important thing. Number 1, from what I research, if you're getting less than 6 hours, which some of you are, you need more sleep. Under 6 hours is classified as sleep deprivation. Number 2, if you have to wake up with an alarm every morning, you're not getting enough sleep. So if you don't just wake up naturally, you're not getting enough sleep. Lastly, if you're tired and you're restless and you're irritable during the day, guess what? You're not getting enough sleep. So with that, so how much do we actually need? And I have a chart pulled up. It's been up here for a while, but I have a chart pulled up. And this is from AASM, which is American Academy of Sleep Medicine, and what they recommend. And it kind of goes on a sliding scale. There's a lady, top researcher, Judith Owens, top researcher or sleep researcher in the world. She basically says, hey, it's on a bell curve. Everybody needs a different amount of sleep. But I think the consensus is you definitely need more than 6 hours of sleep. So don't try to cheat yourself of sleep. And then you can go right down where babies need the most. And then it kind of tears down through teenagers. And it probably sticks at somewhere above 7 to 9 as an adult. I will leave you with this last nugget of knowledge, and just, again, stress the importance that in the life pyramid, that sleep should be your foundation of everything, especially moms when they have babies. That's where you get the postpartum depression and all that stuff. And even, dads that are helping out. It's so important, even on your relationship when you're married. It's so important. If you're not getting enough, guess what? You're going to be frustrated at your partner. So again, this can be in all the modules in life and health and in wealth. It can be in every module. I think it's super important. And if you have the chance to study for 8 hours and sleep for 4, or sleep for 8 hours and study for 4, remember, it's super important to get the sleep, because you're not retaining knowledge. You're just going to be a worse overall person, and you're going to be able to optimize to be your best when you're getting more sleep. So hopefully that helped. If you think that somebody needs this, definitely share, because I do not think it's pushed enough in society. I think we would need way more sleep, and I think it needs to be way more pushed. And sometimes this is the invisible force that's helping you. Maybe you're like, oh man, I just need to change my diet. I just need to do this. And you're not focusing on that biggest part of the foundation. You're focusing on exercise or diet, but hey, you need to be down here focusing on, I just need a little bit more sleep, and maybe that's going to push me over the hump. So hopefully that helped, guys. I'd love, guys and girls, hopefully I'd love if you'd subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, so we can reach out to more people and affect people in a positive way. Thank you.